And gentlemen, welcome to another edition of XFeed. My name is The Schiller, Monday through Friday, except for yesterday. KXW, we we go over everything Web3 related. So let's jump into it. Right off the rip here, AMGI Studios is the first studio to contribute to and integrate with the Carrot protocol and Carrot. Now, the first reaction I have to this is, from my understanding, My Pet Hooligan and the Carrot Coin are separate entities, similarly to the way that it works with Bored Ape Yacht Club and ApeCoin. But I don't think I've ever seen anything that was like, hey, Yuga Labs is doing something specifically for ApeCoin or building it in that sort of announcement. So this is kind of interesting. And then they said, did we mention they are a development partner of NVIDIA? Now, we do know some different collections, including Futureverse, have partnered with NVIDIA. I don't know what that exactly means. Is it just, hey, we have the access to some of the top of the line tech? Does it mean anything extra for what's available on the user standpoint? Not entirely sure, but still kind of cool here, and do think that My Pet Hooligan is going to get some eyeballs. If you didn't see it yesterday as well, somebody weathed two Fidenses, which these are the like ultra rare, super cool grails of art blocks if you are into I guess Web3 art per se. But I guess they sold them for like half price each, needing to find that liquidity. Seeing some grails sales within CryptoPunks, but for these fashionable art pieces, that's just insane, with the fact that it's supposed to be selling for 42 ETH and they took 24 ETH on both of them, and apparently to provide liquidity on a token. Now, Project Tempest is minting right now. I picked up a copy from it. I think it's kind of cool. It's just like a comic book, but it's very interactive, if you will. It's not necessarily a movie. Maybe I'll take a stab at doing a voiceover of it one day. But really, really cool. And if you're wanting to check out that, is at Project Tempest _. And Gen AI, this is crazy. So we have a partnership that was announced with Alibaba last year, and I feel like it was like, okay, this is cool and exciting. We were up at like 4 a.m. going over it, but now when they're showing what they're cooking with, it's kind of a whole new ball game. So Gen AI music. We are excited and honored to collaborate with Alibaba Cloud and legendary pianist Lang Lang to showcase our Gen Music AI generative music AI technology for Alibaba Cloud Global Summit 2024. So let's take a quick little look at what this is.
How does it feel?
That's really good. The atmosphere of the afternoon garden is coming through.
Yeah, that's it. Let's do it like this.
Yes, that's getting even better.
Sometimes I would like to be silly. Picture this. On a cold afternoon, I'm playing with my son in the garden, feeling a light breeze through the hair.
Start generating.
Kinda neat. Now, the question with this is we're not really sure about how all of it's integrated. From our point of view, I think a lot of us think that this is connected to the blockchain, to some NFTs potentially, but we haven't really gotten the full breakdown of that. So when we do, very curious to see kind of the reactions for this overall. But I think that, there might be a play here in terms of Futureverse is doing potentially way more things beyond just the blockchain space. But damn, they're working with some big players here. And Lang Lang, 149,000 followers, and I'm not really familiar with the music. I'm not gonna lie, but seems like a big deal, and drop them a follow. And then for the Root Network, the Reward Cycle 3.0 stats are out. And so the title of this is about being early. And holy guacamole. So there's less than 4,000 people nominating and less than 1,000 people who are nominating. So putting that together, we're at like less than 5,000 people right now, really getting into the weeds of what's going on with the Root Network. Now, everyone's saying, oh, we hope something scales. We hope it gets the attention. We kind of run in the circle, yada, yada, yada. Totally get it. However, this like really feels like we're early in here. Just throwing that one out there, and I'm going to highlight some other things here in a moment. And another thing that I was kind of early in, and it's funny to see, funny is not the correct word, but it's interesting to see like the different development of things. And so Cryptoys, I had one of their Cryptoys classic NFTs that were on Polygon before, and they are now launching a marketplace. Took them a little bit to get there, but it is finally happening, and it's pretty exciting. A marketplace is going live soon. Get ready to buy and sell your favorite cryptoys. Here's the scoop on what's to expect. Toykin Marketplace, buy and sell cryptoys seamlessly using Toykin, our native digital currency. So it sounds like they're doing a token of some sort. Teleportation, easily transfer your cryptoys between your backpack and supported external wallets. So that's cool that it's interoperable that way, if you will. And the digital toy exchange, once teleported, buy and sell cryptoys using USDC on the digital toy exchange. Very interesting to see the space as a whole, where obviously for like OpenSea, it's expanded to many other chains, but like initially you're like, okay, you have to pay with ETH, and they're all different, but them picking USDC here, very interesting. Very interesting. I remember NBA Top Shot and, loading up on the Canadian dollar. But crypto is here, rocking and rolling. Adam Hollander here is saying the average person doesn't know you can buy less than a full Bitcoin, and agree with that. They hear that a Bitcoin is $70,000 and immediately start asking if there are more affordable coins to buy instead. Educating people on this single item could hilariously make a meaningful difference, and agree. Now, not every token are you able to buy lesser of. I think because some of them you need like a whole, and it's some weird exchanges and whatnot. But generally speaking, for most of them, yeah, if you're trying to buy a token, you can get like a fractionalized variation of it. For an ETH, you don't have to buy an entire ETH. For Bitcoin, you do not have to buy an entire Bitcoin. Who is going to make the commercials for that? I have no idea. Maybe you and I can work together and figure it out. So this is a very interesting chart from Whale Mocha. And it says, interesting when you look at the top earning NFT projects and the split between mint and royalty revenue. Initially, one might think that the more successful the projects, the more they lean towards royalty revenue. Makes sense, right? If the collection is commercially more successful, there are more and higher trades and therefore more revenue. However, this is difficult to verify due to the changing royalty landscape, where we've seen some collections kind of get screwed because they were on Blur when they didn't get the royalties, and then there was like a stoppage of that, and they tried to enforce royalties elsewhere, and then there was discounts on what kind of royalties were paid at the beginning of them to try to get people to trade. It's been a really weird 2024, to be totally honest. But as we're jumping down here, here's the chart. So the mint revenue is on the left side and the royalty revenue is on the right. The few that really, really stand out is for the other deeds, which was Yuga Labs' big land sale, is that for their mint revenue, $316 million. But over on the royalty revenue, they got 52 million, which is still, within the amount of time frame. You could just give it another few years, and you might end up getting close to the 316. Obviously, it's been kind of a quieter period, if you will, around the other side excursions. But still, we never know. VFriend's another one where it's really heavily skewed towards the mint revenue, where there was 64 mil taken in, with the royalty revenue being only 16, from 64 down to 16. And then BAYC, Bored Ape Yacht Club, is one of the ones where the royalty revenue far, far exceeds the mint revenue because when Bored Apes came out again, none of the stuff kind of had the pizzazz that it did. And so Apes ended up taking in $2 million on their initial sale, but on the royalties, upwards of $60 million. Holy guacamole. Doyle with a funny tweet here, and I totally remember. If you're an avid X user, you will be aware as well. When Pepe was 500 million market cap, there was 24/7 Pepe X spaces for a month straight. People making insanely good Pepe songs, global Pepe meetups. It was insane. Now it's at 6 billion. Remember, 500 million to 6 billion and a top 20 crypto, and the timeline is very quiet. Did most people fumble their bag too early? Maybe. All I remember is when Pepe went completely parabolic. You could jump on these X spaces, and there was people going on and asking like the host for financial advice, saying, "I have like over $100,000 worth of this Pepe token overnight. I'm rich." It's insane, and to think that it even went higher eventually, and we've broken those all-time highs, kind of nuts. So this is a very spicy one. So this post got noted, I should say, but it's about Charles Hoskinson, and he's talking about the fact that there is no need for Bitcoin anymore. I'll let you hear him, and then we'll discuss.
Bitcoin needs the industry to survive, and sure as hell needs the exchanges and all the other infrastructure because it's not self-sufficient in that dimension. But the industry doesn't need Bitcoin anymore to survive. It's nice to have a digital asset like Bitcoin that has that reputation and it's digital gold, but remember, at the end of the day, it's a token with a deflationary monetary policy. And so at any given moment, another digital gold can form, and if it has good science behind it, it'll be just as secure, if not more so. You know, that's why we spent, in a science-based approach with Cardano, 7 years designing a proof-of-stake protocol. You know, from the GKL model to Ouroboros Classic, to Praus, to Genesis, and everything that came afterwards, is that we thought a lot as an ecosystem about how do you build a secure consensus protocol that's energy efficient, but also has all the properties that Bitcoin has. And we were very rigorous with this. And the response to the Bitcoin ecosystem was, oh, it's a scam, it doesn't exist, that technology can't exist, and it's perpetual motion, and proof of stake is wrong. Okay, I just don't see how that survives. It's a religion, it's not an ecosystem. So no, we don't.
I'm not going to go over the entire clip here, but it is a very interesting kind of discussion for Bitcoin. Okay, maybe it's not needed, but does that bring into the fact that the narrative has just won so many people over? How much does that change over time? They say the whole thing about empires take 100 years to fall. Does that ever happen for Bitcoin? I don't know, but it is kind of spicy, thinking that something else can come along. So Mooncat5997 says, should I sweep 100 plus cool cats for approximately $185,000? Yo, maybe NFTs might not be back, but if Mooncat be sweeping that much, yeah, we might be. So Sphere Labs is introducing Offload Wallet, where you can connect a bank account, generate a wallet tied to the bank account, and then you can send and receive USDC. So as Cryptoys just said, they're doing stuff in USDC. Looks like another one here. I'm going to try to pause the video where they're showing like a traditional transaction right here, and then it goes into... I'm going to try to pause it. Hold on. Right here. So it shows where there's several different like checking and savings account where you can then just generate a wallet directly within their app that's like attached to that bank account. Kind of cool. I just think anything to help with the on ramps and off ramps of things within this space, fantastic. So Walletguard put out a fantastic tweet. Very much recommend you guys go check that out again at wallet_guard, talking about the ultimate web security tools. And the first two ones here, I'll read right quick, are virustotal.com. And did somebody send you a file? Were you told to download an attachment or install a game or use some random software? Use VirusTotal to protect malware and other threats on files before you even open them on your own device. And so I went to the site just to see what it looks like, and you can upload a file, do the URL, or just search for something, and it seems, Pretty simple to do. And the second one is unshorten.it. A lot of services use link shorteners, and a lot of scammers mask links. Drop any link that is sent into unshorten.it before you go into it to reveal its ultimate destination. Now, typically, I feel like you can also hover over if something is like hyperlinked, like as we do right here. It can it shows you where that goes to. But oh my goodness, the unshorten.it site. There we go. We're back. So that's what it looks like, and you just type it in. There's a lot more on that. I'm not going to go into it entirely, but I think that it's really cool that people are, again, just trying to educate on the security front. So again, at wallet_guard if you're wanting to see more. And Kabosu, face of the Doge meme, has passed away, unfortunately, which is kind of crazy to think about. We're still among legends as we speak, but that's one that's down, unfortunately. And yesterday, huge news. The SEC approves a spot Ethereum ETF. Now in Canada, we've been able to deal with crypto on the stock market, investing in different things. I'm not exactly sure if it's called like I don't think it's called like an ETF here, to be honest, but there's several different ways to, I guess, like invest within Bitcoin and Ethereum. And so seeing these things get approved and it just being the United States and everybody being hyped up about it, I'm like, that's cool. We've had it for a while. I guess Canada doesn't move the markets enough, though. That's tough. So another thing that I've been like absolutely obsessed with is the root name service, where some of these names people are just not. Listen, we got Leafs, Maple Leafs, Beijing, Yankees, NBA.root, Lakers, Lord of the Rings, League of Legends. Absolutely unbelievable. Canada, Titanic, Ronaldo, Bears, Eagles, Brazil, Chiefs, Knicks. We even got Drake in here. Whole bunch of football teams, whole bunch of everything. Kind of crazy. Seems like these are, we got esports.root too. We're cooking out here. And this is what I'm talking about. In terms of like being early, you'll see a lot of people on the timeline that talk about something, and if you're not early to it where you have that same opportunity, you're kind of like, I don't like this. And there's not that many people that are registering some of these names, because you'd be surprised what's available out there. So Jarinder with a very interesting tweet here that sounds kind of funny towards Guild of Guardians, and just saying it for the sake of conversation here. Seeing a Web3 game launch like Guild of Guardians is exciting, but saying it's the best game ever makes me laugh so hard at how disconnected the space is. And I would agree, since Guild of Guardians launched, I've been seeing like a lot of people saying like, this is the bee's knees. It's great. I've tried watching some gameplay of it. I downloaded it, but I haven't gotten to like playing it yet. And it looks fine. But I definitely agree, like, it seems kind of insane that people are saying it's the best game ever. But let's dive into it. It is a decent auto combat battler where this kind of game pops up on the App Store every day. They went on a traditional UA mobile game marketing route, which is correct. Hence, we see ads everywhere. And again, we highlighted the Cloud9 stream that happened the other day, or little piece of content. And I was pretty critical of it because it felt just not good. But this person also says, I've played 50 games that are exactly like this. I'm not saying this is a bad game. This is probably one of the good ones in the space, but just thinking that having this playable game already excites Web3 gamers makes me feel very weird. If you want to poke me on this, show me your IAP on this genre game and we'll talk. Okay, so this is a great line here where it's saying it's making me feel weird. And I think that there's just like a big problem within blockchain gaming in general, where everybody's expectations generally haven't been met. There's a bajillion companies and games being made, and most of them haven't really broken out of like an ecosystem's inner circle, if you understand what I mean by that. So, yeah, we'll see. But Guild of Guardians have done a hell of a push. So very interesting to see that. Paul Barron interviewing Yatsui. What do you have to say here?
Really propelled Web3 gaming was DeFi Summer, right? That was something that many people still even today in Web2 gaming don't understand.
True.
And the platforms that didn't have DeFi Summer, or we didn't have sort of DeFi platforms. Now, during the bear market, there were a number of companies that basically semi-abandoned blockchain because it didn't seem fashionable to do so. We are totally perfectly fine with projects that don't succeed. But we're less fine with the idea that people take capital to build Web3 and then don't build it in Web3, right? That to us feels something a little bit more like, ooh, right? And what really propelled Web3 gaming was DeFi Summer.
I agree with that. Now, the question is, how many brands really tried to get into the space? I mean, we got Pepsi. What else we got? In Buffalo. I will say Guild of Guardians is the only game I actually play these days. Not saying it much better than the others, but at least I don't feel like I'm wasting my time as much since I feel like I'm earning. Hell yeah, good. Well, hey, listen, that's the idea. You play these games, you got to feel like you're earning something good. But of the brands that haven't entered the space, how many of them want to? Sounds like almost all of them. So I'm expecting with the space, understanding how to create these environments and places for content to live, might see an absolute rush of bigger brands coming on through. Okay, this is absolutely insane. If you haven't seen within the esports world, the founding fathers land. We have FaZe Banks with FaZe. We have Hector from Optic, and then we have Nadeshot from 100 Thieves. They're doing a big, I don't know if this is like a tournament. I guess it's a LAN party event. But this is insane. Very interesting to know that also FaZe Banks seems to be talking much more about Web3 and trying to focus on that. Is he going to be able to usher in the other crowd in here? Maybe. Just maybe. So keeping an eye on that. ArcDev here from Hytopia. Finally, I can link this. Extremely excited for this one of the highest potential mobile games I've played in a long time, and it's Web3 with high chain games, Loot Legends. So quick kind of showing of the 1 minute showing of this. Initially, it reminds me of Ember Sword and what the original Guild of Guardians looked like, where it was a dungeon crawler that seemed kind of similar with different actions for it. That exact screen right there looks very much like early days Guild of Guardians, besides those critical thing, like the critical hits and the boxes around there. But again, these games, I feel like a lot of them are kind of looking similar with the whole like Raid Shadow Legends dungeon crawler thing. Nothing wrong with that, but it is interesting to see which ones are getting pushed first as like the blockchain game side of things. So very excited nonetheless to see how that game does. Okay, listen, let's hear one of the guys over at Ripple, what he's got to say about tokenization.
I think if someone can't explain something in 60 seconds, they probably don't understand it. I'm David Schwartz, and this is Crypto in a Minute. Tokenization can improve efficiency by eliminating some of the problems with asset transfer and ownership. If you've ever bought a house, you know that it's very complicated to determine who owns a house. There's a lot of paperwork involved with the sale, recording the sale. There's a risk of fraud in the delivery of the payment, and of course in being able to prove ownership of the asset. Tokenization can eliminate all those problems by using digital distributed ledgers to track the ownership of assets. That also simplifies things like if you want to borrow against an asset, use the asset for collateral, the person who's providing you the loan can more easily determine that you own the asset, and they can make sure that you aren't borrowing from a number of different lenders. Boom. Didn't even take a minute.
Listen. I like the fact that they're out here. They're having them talk. I feel like just staring straight at his camera with no extra visuals or anything else. Guys, we're Ripple. We're like a multi-billion-dollar company. Like, listen, we got just listen. That's a little bit more creativeness would be amazing. XRP, bro. I don't know how else to say this. Yo, but that is Joel Katz. And again, he actually interviewed Aaron McDonald before. Maybe we'll rewatch that interview at some point, but kind of funny to see him. Okay, so I know that from Miss Gex, if you follow her, or for anybody in the Futureverse, if you've been following Bill and Gex' Excellent Adventure, they talked Phoebe, well, not Bill though, but some of the groups around them, and they're very into it. And so I thought that I saw this tweet and was like, huh? I'm a product digital designer, and I know much user voice is the key. At VV Official has a chance to have an active cohort of users and don't listen to us. What a pity. Pull yourself together before losing all your ambassadors. I feel there was a ton of different collections and I don't know, collections is the right term. Companies doing digital assets, sales of some sort that have gotten like a lot of ambassadors. And some of the early days, it felt like, hey, like just there was opportunities and other people didn't go for it, or, you know, attention at certain points. But I don't know, have these like ambassador programs done significant things we've talked about the Magic Eden one before, and I feel like the people that they highlighted that I follow just don't talk about Magic Eden whatsoever. So maybe they're like an advisor of some sort. No idea. But Captain Trippy's saying Ape Coin. That's the tweet. You'll see a retweet if you agree. So it sounds like potentially, again, seems like all the time, people hyping something on the timeline, but Ape Coin, maybe, just maybe, something is happening. So there was this breakdown of sponsorship tiers here, and we'll get to that in a second, but there was kind of a long post here defending the fact that there is such a premium cost to sponsor a Web3 event. And so Yano's saying conferences cost many millions of dollars to host, so many unseen costs that the general public doesn't see. Insurance, temps, permitting, security, food, dealing with cities, dealing with unions. Venues are booked a year in advance. Sponsorship prices are based on supply and demand. Demand is higher than it's been in years. Yada, yada, yada. And so within this, it's for permissionless, and the minimum investment for a presenting partner, $1 million. Holy sheesh. Down in the gold, you can get down to 20,000, but it's insane to think at the prices of these things. But my only concern with this is the ticket prices are rather expensive for most of them to begin with, and I feel like they don't necessarily always set you up for, hey, you're going to get something out of this or learn something new, because again, most of the speakers are there to kind of sell you a product, and that's okay. It might be one that's really, really good, but from my short time, again, some of these just feel like they're completely blown out of proportion. But that's it for this edition of XFeed. Oh my goodness, we're back here on the weekend. What an exhilarating week. It seems like the summer of 2024 is supposed to be filled with a ton of Web3 games, experiences, the simulation, if you will. So excited to see what we have going into that. Trader Pops, Buffalo Space, and anybody watching that's not commentating or checking on the VOD, thank you guys so much for tuning in.